Hey Fluff Bunnies, it's your girl Fluffy and I'm back with another art video. But before we get started, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And let's get into it. So, this is the actual reason why I started adding the art section to my actual YouTube, is because of pour painting or paint pouring or fluid art, whichever one you are comfortable calling it. That is the reason why I started. In the more recent months, most of you know, because of my recent back injury and me not being able to walk and things of that nature, I have started doing this pour painting and I've gotten into it and I love it. Anyway, aside from all of that, this was my very first night doing it. I had no idea what I was doing, and I'm pretty sure that I did not measure out my Floetrol. I'm pretty sure that I did not measure out my water correctly, and I'm sure that I probably used way too much silicone oil. And but I'm still very pleased with the work that I produced that night, and I'm pretty sure that I wasted about 3 different canvases. Not that I meant to, but I was going to be very determined that I was going to get something that I was pleased with that night. Okay. Work with me, not against me. However, I was very pleased with the cell work that I did get when I did do this one, and I also used a straw, and I also used a straw to blow out some of the areas. I used a lot of techniques that I had saw Olga, Molly, and Rinske do, and just kind of putting those methods to work, you know, and pretty much figuring out what worked for me, what I saw all of them do, and kind of ended up working with what I thought would be comfortable for me. And most of all, once I started to just have fun and stop trying to be so mechanical with it, is what worked for me. And that's when I decided that, you know what, with this, you just have to have fun. And when I started having fun with it, that's when I produced a piece of work that I enjoyed for myself. So I'm going to tell you that if you are interested in pour painting, just start having fun. And when you start trying to have fun and being yourself, you will produce a piece of work that you will enjoy. So that is my advice to you. So let's get into this, okay? So here we go. So again, without measuring correctly, I ended up using a straw, blowing some areas out. I did not have a heat gun and I didn't have a torch, so I ended up with some cracks later on down the line, which I totally understood. But I still ended up using some epoxy resin on it, which we're also going to see momentarily here. And I still loved it, and yes, I still used epoxy resin on this piece because that is my particular varnish of choice. I just love things that shine. So it is epoxy resin night. I am finally getting to it after a few weeks. After letting both of these artworks dry, they are ready for the epoxy. So getting ready to mix them up. And I'm in an unfinished room where the window is open. I do have on gloves, and I also have on a respirator mask. Okay, don't mind how I look. That's beside the point. So, yes. So next, I have a small piece that I worked on. I did not have a torch at the time, so there are cracks in this. But I'm still going to resin it just because it's my first piece. So, my first pour paint and too many more. So, it's going to get resined, okay? Torch. And let's see. Okay. So at this point, I was pretty proud of myself because I had mixed my epoxy resin, parts A and part B. I had never mixed epoxy resin before. It was clear because if you've ever mixed epoxy resin before, it's pretty cloudy. And I had mixed it to where it was clear. I didn't have any bubbles in it. I had torched it, as you had saw. I felt like a whole winner, okay? I felt like I knew what I was doing. I felt like I had done this before after having watched Molly, having watched Olga, having watched Rinske do it. I felt like a total winner. So I was looking at my piece like, you know what? This is giving me as the vibes as I had done it before, you know. So I was definitely very proud of myself in this moment, seeing my piece being fully engulfed in the epoxy resin. So here's another terrible picture because for some reason I had gotten some epoxy on the back of the camera somehow, so it was a little blurry, but I was able to get it off, thank the Lord. But I was again very proud of myself that I had did it. So congrats to that. Okay, so I was able to do it. So if you are comfortable with epoxy, then I say go for it. But again, I like shine. I like anything that is very, very shiny. I like anything that blings. For those of you who've ever had the pleasure of ever seeing my nails, you know that they're always blinged out. So epoxy resin is probably going to be the varnish of my choice all the time. That's just my personal preference. So deal with it, okay? I love you guys. Thanks. So the brand that I used was called Amazing. It takes about 24 hours, so I let mine cure for a little bit longer than 24 hours, and we are about to get into that right now. So let's go ahead and watch that part. And so here are the results of my very first pour painting. It has had epoxy resin over it for over 24 hours, so it is fully cured. And I am so ecstatic about it. There are some spots that I'm like, oh, I could stand to add a little bit more, but I am so elated at this first piece, and I cannot wait to continue to make more art for you all, and in hopes that maybe you will buy some for your home. I will be doing custom pieces as well, so I'm very excited to announce that is going to be coming for the up and coming year of 2022. So this has been fully resined, so I know it's a little hard to see, but you could see the flicker of the gold, and it mixed in with this blue, and we've got some cell action because I did use some silicone oil, so the lacing the cells and just it. Oh, it's just, I'm so in love with this piece. And it's my very first piece. Very first. So be ready, everyone. I am going to be producing more artwork, and I cannot wait.